Hi guys, welcome to a video, and in today's video I just wanted to give you my thoughts on the show Dickinson. Now I know this series came out a while ago, but I've only just caught up with it. The series is a fictional portrayal of the younger life of Emily Dickinson, who was an American poet in the 19th century. The series not only looks at Emily's life, but it also explores the socio-political themes of 19th century America, such as the abolition of slavery and women's rights, or lack of. I was pleasantly surprised by how punchy and funny the first episode was. I was drawn in immediately, and I think actually season 1 did a pretty decent job. The series is incredibly contemporary. They've infused modern music and colloquial language to make it palatable to younger generations or just to today's audience. You know, and there's a talking bee. There's a talking bee involved, so okay. Yeah, as I say, the 19th century is an incredibly interesting time in America, and the show explores how women were economically limited in that time, where marriage was, almost pushed on women as a means of financial stability. A woman in that time, depending on her class, would either have to marry a man or take up a position as a governess or a teacher or domestic service. There really wasn't a lot of options for women economically in that time, and the show does touch upon this, but without a shadow of the doubt, the absolute best thing about this series is there is no hesitancy where Emily Dickinson's sexuality is concerned. The series shows that Emily and Sue had a romantic entanglement from the very first episode, and they're not gingerly about it. They really just treat it like a normal romance. And really, her sexuality wasn't even a talking point, it was just something that was organic, and even in today's media that kind of lesbian portrayal is rare, so I think that's one of the biggest plus points about this series, and I appreciated it, not just because the actresses are also very, very good looking. I mean, can we just talk about Sue, because I have a crush. I would sell a kidney. I don't think I've got any kidneys left to sell at this point. Speaking of Emily and Sue, there's a lot of debate in the scholarly world about the nature of Emily and Sue's relationship, which I honestly think is past the point of ridiculous. I'm going to make a separate video about the real life relationship between Sue and Emily, but from the moderate research I've done, I don't understand how anybody reads that relationship as anything other than romantic. I mean, the fact that Sue was initially edited out of Emily's poems is kind of like the biggest clue, because for that time period, they obviously felt that the relationship was inappropriate. But for some reason, when it comes to gay relationships, and specifically lesbian relationships, people are ready to believe absolutely everything else other than a romantic connection. Anyway, the real life relationship is for another video. So yes, in the series they weren't afraid to show that relationship for what it was. So I do have a few critiques and opinions on the series. The worst thing, in my opinion, about this show is their portrayal of Louisa May Alcott. I know that this show is not historically accurate, it's not here to be historically accurate, but if you've even done moderate research on Louisa Alcott's life, you'll know that their portrayal of her was a hideous abomination, and the minute she showed up on screen, I knew there would be some lame joke about Little Women being brought up and another character making the obvious joke of, oh, well, that doesn't sound like anyone's gonna read it, and lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. There's also another bit where Emily brings Ben a bowl of soup or broth in bed, and there's nothing in the bowl, and the viewer can see there's nothing in the bowl, and then he kind of knocks the bowl off the bed and it's empty. I mean, the series isn't like a student project, it's a proper show, and alright, so the show is of course a highly fictionalized and dramatized version of Emily Dickinson's life, to the extent where you could just take Dickinson out of the title and put any name there, and I don't even think it would make a difference. The show is really riding off of Emily Dickinson's name and obviously reflects little to no accuracy. That being said, Emily Dickinson's life wasn't that well documented. The only things we really have to go on are her letters, and of course poetry is multifaceted and complex. You can't really prove anything through poetry. Then of course we have accounts from people who knew her personally, but how well did they know her, and how accurate are these accounts that they're giving. So there's a lot of room for artistic license anyway, where Emily Dickinson's life is concerned. But we do know she often suffered from sickness for periods of time. We also know she was quite melancholy and almost like this wise, haunted figure. And the show really doesn't portray that essence at all. But to be honest, you know, despite that, you can't create a drama, you can't create a TV show that is, you know, 100% historically accurate. Otherwise, it would be incredibly boring to watch. You know, a TV show has entertainment value to think of, and they really just, they concentrate on the entertainment value in this show. Overall, I loved season 1. I thought it was punchy, it was funny, it was fresh. Season 2 has definitely lost its sense of direction, and the actors playing Sue and Emily just had a fantastic chemistry, and I feel like really they should have been the main vein throughout the entire show. But the show seems to have almost drifted away from Sue and Emily, and I found myself rapidly losing interest with season 2, and I felt it just became quite white male centric again, and there was also a bit of a white savior complex running through season 2, which I was a bit wary of. And again, there's nothing wrong with you know, having a show which revolves around a bunch of young white guys. I just maybe don't include that in a show which is about, or supposedly about, Emily Dickinson, because in the second season it kind of starts to feel like Emily is just the side character and all the drama is focused on heteronormative mini dramas going on around her. So I'd say season 1 is worth watching. I do think season 1 was perhaps a bit of a one-hit wonder. I like the fact that the show doesn't shy away from Emily Dickinson's Sapphic history. I think that's a huge plus in my books. And overall, yeah, it's okay. And Sue is so beautiful, and yes. Okay guys, if you've watched the series, please let me know what you think of it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for instant disappointment, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.